Hello, everyone. This is Erin Morgan with Insight Media, and I am very excited to be here today with Dr. Jackie Bowen. She is the president of the American Optometric Association. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you for joining us today for the Her Insight podcast.
I feel very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Dr. Bowen, could you please tell us a little bit about your own path in optometry and how you came through this kind of pathway into the AOA and to your role there today?
I've always been interested in leadership and, like student council in high school and that sort of thing, and have been engaged at that level. I'll tell you what, right off the bat, AOA president was not a role I ever even dreamed that I would have the opportunity to take. But so the pathway did not go as I thought it would. It went a lot more amazingly. I went to SCCO and then did a residency at Omni Eye Specialists in Denver. So that's what brought us to Colorado. And when I completed my residency, I was not interested in practice ownership, but a practice became available because the doctor owning it died suddenly, unfortunately. And so that was in Greeley, north of Denver. It's not in the hustle and bustle of the Denver, Boulder metro. Cool place to be. Greeley's kind of an agricultural community and kind of off the beaten trail. But I would like to say Greeley chose us because the opportunity to step into this existing practice was a wonderful opportunity and a terrific challenge. And it was not what I was looking for. But I would say, that's the second thing I said where I wasn't intending to go in that direction, but I ended up going there.
You have this fantastic role as the AOA president. I'm sure there are lots of things that are exciting about that, but what kind of excites you most?
Well, an excitement can be positive and negative feelings, right? So it is true that there are many, many exciting things. I would say right now, the AOA has its biggest voice ever, and we have to, because it used to be relatively easy to own a practice, for example. There were very few third-party issues that you had to deal with. It was kind of easy to hire and, fire staff. It was pretty smooth sailing when I entered the profession. Because of government oversight and rules and regulations and third-party impacts and just the plethora of media available to us, it's not just here's the society meeting, here's your state meeting. So many opportunities for clinical and non-clinical education has become so overwhelming for the individual doctor to keep up, much less be a voice in Congress or be a voice within the profession or be a voice pushing back against a vision benefit company or something like that. So the AOA, through all our years of experience, have now got the opportunity to support optometrists in so many different ways. And I'm constantly seeing that in new perspectives. I kind of figured by now, this is my 10th year on the board, figured I had seen all there was to see in terms of AOA's ability to support the profession. Weekly, things will come up where we can jump in and say, okay, what do we need to do to support optometrists and help doctors take better care of their patients? That's exciting because it's not just me. The president really doesn't do a whole lot unilaterally. The team on the board, our full-time staff, which is large and very effective. I don't have any vacuums in my job. I don't have all the answers, but I feel like I pretty much know someone who does. And that's fun too, to be at a stride, to be at a place where it's not as intimidating as it once was or you thought it might be, but to know, okay, I can help with that. I direct toward that. I know who to talk to about that. So it's exciting to be working with so many high-level performers.
No doubt. Yes, very inspiring for sure. Well, thank you for that. Just kind of to dovetail off of that, in this leadership role, how would you describe your own personal leadership philosophy?
Well, probably the most prominent leadership role I have was as the boss in my practice. I was a practice owner for 28 years and then sold 4 years ago to my eye doctor. So one thing that's done for me is given me a different perspective. I think that's been very valuable to kind of have two different modes of practice. What changed the least was my abilities and opportunities in the exam room, in that I don't have quite as much staff responsibility, but through leading staff and people who call me boss, and they didn't call me that all the time, but I realized that the leader has to be the most outwardly focused, the least me-focused position. Yes. If you're going into a leadership capacity saying, I'm going to get things done my way, you've already set yourself up for failure because you're not using the resources around you. So I think my job as a leader is not to, push my agenda and try to persuade people to think the way I do. My most important job as a leader is to develop the strengths, recognize the things that other people do better than I do, and really put that forward, because that ultimately is going to support me more as a leader. So whether that person is a brand new to my staff, never even touched a pair of glasses before, who are going to try to develop into an optician, or very high-level experienced leaders with whom I serve on the AOA board, I think my leadership job is to, again, bring out their strengths and figure out how to put all those pieces together to create something amazing.
That's a fantastic focus. I love that, and very unique perspective, that inwardly kind of focus. So conversely, what do you find most challenging as a leader, and how do you overcome that challenge?
I think, especially for female leaders, one of the biggest challenges is the constant awareness of what other people think of you, and constantly knowing that you are on stage being evaluated, being judged. It is true that in society and in psychology and in counseling, we're constantly advised, don't worry about what other people think of you. Yours is the most important opinion of you. And I think that's true. That's good advice. But bottom line is, when you own a business and your personality, your performance, your skills are what's going to allow your business to grow. In other words, every single patient encounter, I want this person to think I'm awesome, so they will, send their friends and family. That's how you grow, is that referral. So it's really a struggle to hear on one side, don't worry about what other people think of you, but know that you have to worry about what other people think of you because your livelihood depends on it. And if you're in an elected leadership position, which I am, and you have to run for re-election at several stages while you're serving on the AOA board, you have to care that people like you and think you're doing a good job. If you're in the line for being promoted, or if you're looking at another situation, it matters what other people think of you. So that challenge has been plaguing me for a long, long time. You have to educate yourself, you have to talk to other leaders, you have to read books, and constantly figure out how to balance that self-confidence and self-worth with, not against, with the knowledge that your success depends on how you are serving and taking care of other people.
It's so true, and very smart. Great insight as well, because again, right, we're always told that those things don't matter, but they really do matter. So you just have to find that right balance for managing that. So this is kind of a bigger question, looking at optometry, looking at the profession. As a leader in optometry, where do you believe the profession is heading in the future? And what are the biggest opportunities for the profession?
That is a humongous question. And really hard to hone into one answer, because, the biggest opportunity is whatever it is we're working on right now,
right.
Whatever point in time you're asked the question. I will say that as an AOA board, we've really been paying a lot of attention over the last few years about workforce issues. Mm-hmm. And no secret to anybody, looking at a graph, the slope of eye care needs in this country is increasing over the next 10 years. The slope of optometrists entering the profession is less steep. The slope of ophthalmologists entering that profession is declining. And that's the trajectory that we're on. It's easy to get sort of the sky is falling panic about,
yes.
We're seeing declining enrollment. in the schools. Some of the schools aren't even filling their entire class. What are we going to do? Who's going to take care of all these people? I think our opportunity here, though, is in, of course, AI. We all are talking about AI, and I'm not sure that anybody really has a grip on it, but I do have some colleagues who, if anyone has a grip, they do. And I'm inspired about the thought that it's not going to necessarily take more bodies and more people. It's going to take better technology. So currently, my technicians do an awesome, very plentiful workup before I step into the exam room. But that can be leveled up, with different technology. The check-in process, the appointment-making process, all the front space activities can be more efficient and more smooth. And then even the information that I'm armed with stepping into the exam room can be incredibly greater and more accurate than what I'm stepping in with now. The other opportunity I think is worth embracing is greater income earning opportunity that are not third-party care dependent. Aesthetics in optometry is incredibly lucrative direction to go. Some things that we're doing, specialized dry eye care and myopia management, different ways that we can help our patients live better lives. And as we educate ourselves about how to present that to patients, we don't need to be stuck in this rut of just chokehold of managed care and, spin and grin and crank out and see more patients in a day than you can possibly keep up with.
Absolutely. You is kind of back to this Her Insight, Women in Vision Care Leadership focus. Could you please share one key leadership tip or insight for aspiring female leaders out there who may be listening?
One thing I think is so important is to just say yes when you're asked to step up and participate or lead or even just engage at a very baseline level. I promise you will never have the time and the money you think you need in order to support organized optometry. You are never going to be at the point where it's perfect, so just do it now. It does multiply your experience. I would say practice growth, success with patient care has been a real bonus of serving on the AOA board and the COA board and other groups that I've been part of, because you end up mixing with other people who are high achievers. There's really a lot of pearls to be gained. So there is something in it for me, even though it is a service-based opportunity to be in leadership. And I'm the 105th AOA president. Wow. I am the 4th female president.
Amazing.
Yeah, that and the 3 that have gone before me are glass ceiling breakers, and the 5 on the board that are coming after me are just going to, rock star this. So we're at a really neat transition and shifting or balancing of the scales in the profession. And we need to own that and take on the challenges, but support other women in leadership, support each other, strengthen each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love talking about these things, so I appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for all of the great information for our audience, and to our audience, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being here, and we will be back again soon with more Her Insight podcasts.